Now I'm sick and broken hearted, and I know what that song means now. Well, I heard him sing old blues and sing about the news and plow. Stay with me through September. Summer didn't last, and there ain't nobody in New York City could need you half-ass back. Yeah, we're going to talk about my September songs this week. There's lots I can tell you about this one. I'll start off with this D chord. Well, it's actually an E chord, but because the capo is in the second position, it's an E chord, but it's a D shape, so I'm going to call it a D shape chord. But often when I play Ds, because of the idiosyncrasies of guitar tuning and stuff, often when you play a D chord, this last note isn't in tune. That's pretty close, but often it's flat or sharp, usually sharp. But it's a tough one to negotiate. So when I play this song, I'll actually adjust this string to make sure, because often when I play this D-shaped chord, I just mute out the top string like this, which actually makes it a D fifth chord with no third. But in this song, it was important to have the third because it gives it that sweetness, giving it a major third. That's without it, and this is with it. Top note. And it was important for me in this song to have that note speak, so I made sure when I recorded it and when I play it live, I tuned the string to make sure that it sounds in tune. Anyway, that's an interesting factoid. And the same thing happens with the B string sometimes too. So if you're a young guitar player, it seems like with some chords you can never get the B string and the E string in tune. That's just the way guitars are. It's an imperfect tuning system, which is too complex to go into right now, but the way that the tuning system is tempered on a guitar, it makes it so that, well, on all instruments really, but on the guitar, because of the change in string from the wound to the unwound, that's always a place where there's sometimes a tuning inconsistency between different chords. So if you're struggling with that, don't worry about it too much. We all have to live with it, and different people have different sensitivities to how out of tune they're comfortable playing, but just remember that none of us are ever completely in tune because of the tempered tuning system that we use in the West. So that's interesting. And then about the song itself, this is a good time to talk about my writing process, because it seems like on every record there's 2 or 3 songs that come at the very end of the session, or else right before the recording session starts. Like right at the end of the writing period, I'll get 2 or 3 that are sometimes the best ones, and I'm not sure what the reason for that is. I think it has something to do with just having your creativity flowing or whatever. But Cabin Fever took me about 3 years to write, which is longer than usual. And the first year and a half, I banged my head against the wall. I was trying to write, and I just couldn't get anything. I was putting in the time and spending hours a day on it because I got that farm boy work ethic thing, and nothing was happening. So eventually I just left it alone for a while. And I've got a few songs from the early period, but about a year before I recorded. So after about 2 years of not having much success in writing anything, the dam started to break and I started to get stuff. And then the last month or so before we recorded, I got 3 songs together that were brand new. The Gravedigger song, this song, September, and the Getting Down on the Mountain song. And I think those 3 are some of my favorites on the record. So that often happens. I'll get 1 or 2 near the end of the session, the writing session, not the recording session. Although sometimes I'll finish one in the recording session, which is really quick. But my point is, if you're writing songs and you're starting to write and you have periods where you can't get anything done, just don't worry too much about it. Focus on learning to sing better, or focus on practicing guitar, or reading, or shooting straighter, or whatever. So the point is, sometimes you got to leave it alone because you just can't force the creativity. And I always try to. I don't follow my own advice very well, because if I'm having a period where I'm not writing anything, I'll just bear down and try and write more and more, and it just doesn't help. So sometimes you just got to really just let it go for a while. And it seems like if you treat the creativity that way, it always comes back around. It's a cycle, right? So this song I had a couple months before the recording. I was living in New York City, visiting a friend, and I don't really write many love songs because usually people that write stuff on, well, not everybody. It seems to me a lot of times in mainstream radio, whether it's pop or country or whatever, the love songs are kind of fake because a lot of songwriters seem to use relationship songs as sort of a default setting when they have nothing else to sing about or write about, or maybe they have to. I don't know what it's like in their world. But for me, I usually write about horses or guns or whatever because it interests me, or politics or whatever I'm into at the time. But occasionally I write a love song because I'm actually going through something, and so when I do, I try to just make them sort of I don't know. I try not to get too sappy, but it seems like they hungry. It seems like somehow almost all my love songs end up veering over into horse metaphor territory, and this is the only one that didn't. Although it does mention cows, but I especially there's two hooks in the song that I really like. I like the part where it goes. I can picture how you live in a tiny fourth floor flat. And this part, I guess there's times that 1,000 acres in the Rocky Mountains can't compete with that. That line about the 1,000 acres in the Rocky Mountains kind of gave me the chills the first time I came up with it, which is weird. So I figured if it gave me the chills, maybe it'll do the same for somebody else. And I also really like the hook in the very first line of the song, or the last line of the first stanza in the song, where it's stay with me through September, summer didn't last. This part. And there ain't nobody in New York City could need you half as bad. So those two lines are my favorite lines in the song. And usually I have a couple little hooks in every song that sort of the rest of it crystallizes around. And those ones, especially the New York City line, were the ones in the song that sort of formed the emotional infrastructure to build the rest of the song around. And usually my songs have one or two things in them like that. And I don't know if they always speak to other people, but there's usually a couple of hooks that I like or that speak to me. Anyway, that's enough about that one. I gotta go eat. I'm hungry.
Well, my legs have both been shattered, and I know what that song means now. My sons have both been slaughtered, and I know what that song means now.